welcome back. Welcome back. So I've been farting around with this stupid thing. I saw some ordinary gamer. Love watching him. Super down to earth. He knows where it's at. He gets the ideas of what we grew up with back in the day when we just got something and it was ours and we could do whatever. We could fix it, we could break it, we could sell it. Back when games were in boxes, man. Today, everything you gotta buy. Subscription. Not even buy like on just cash and you're done. You have to keep paying for everything. This comes down to AI too. Probably the most powerful tool we can use as a society. So I decided to, once I saw some ordinary gamer have these features, these little local AI models, I was like, I need this. I need to set it up for two reasons. One, I can use my running Ollama server to activate, where is it? Here you are. To activate and manage my own AI models on my computer. Step one. Though step one is kind of limited because, the AI is going to be local. If you run and install Ollama and you get your little, what you call them, models, you're going to run into an issue. That issue is that it's not going to be connected to the internet. So what we want to do is connect it. So I've been playing around with some custom ways to do it. You've probably seen my previous video of farting around with a Python script, which, I can keep working on it and I'll probably get somewhere, but I can also get this feature easy. And not only is it easy, it requires medium level of computer knowledge, especially if you're going to be following the instructions that I'm going to show you on how to install everything. You still gotta maintain it over time, but it does bring you more familiar with the world of AI. So, first, as mentioned, all models live in this Ollama server. The server runs in the backend as a local port. Couple of things you gotta know about local ports and local hosts in 127.0.0.1. It's you. It's the computer you're currently staring at. Whenever you're using this keyword, it's connecting back to yourself, digitally looping back, which means that we can host our own local servers and then access them locally without even exposing them to the internet. But for these cases, there's a couple of things. First, Olama's local, no internet. Hence the issue with having to have a device that doesn't quite go on the internet to do the things I wanted to do, like research. So I ended up, well, this music is getting a little chaotic. Hold on. I ended up throwing up a, trying to, okay. Um, the Rep Perplexica, which is a basically alternative to the Perplexity system, which is local as well, at least the Perplexica. The Perplexity is just one of those Grok OpenAI bots that have certain features that let you research, upload files, and so on. But Perplexica is a GitHub or created by, let's see where it was. This is me doing it again. It's crazy KNS. This guy cooked up a pretty nice interface, basically what I was working on, but it would take me forever. On basically accessing this AI, this Ollama, and providing it a tool set, tools to look up on the internet, tools to convert files into readable LM natural language, right? Because they're just text-based systems. Even the text or even images get converted down to text so that with certain codecs in order for the AI to see, quote unquote, the image. So Perplexica serves as that worst case scenario. I left a bunch of notes. Please do take note of all of these commands because you will potentially need them at some point if you mess up. Now, the biggest one is don't do this one. No, not this one. Where was it? Yeah, no. Docker exec network. It will create this one. Put a message. messes up WSL subsystem. I was trying to solve one thing about the networking aspect, thinking that something else was busted. In the end, all I had to do, which the Docker wasn't doing itself, Docker is going to be the main way we're going to interface with these. Docker wasn't quite, even though it should have, setting up a port-to-port forwarding system. I had to do it through the command line, and then it worked. But I also did this beforehand to create a new network to kind of test it out. But as soon as I did this, something with the API messed up, and well, I ended up having to reinstall Docker and WSL. WSL, what is it? WSL is essentially going to be the Windows subsystem for Linux, um, on like a it's a subsystem. It basically lets some Linux-based applications, libraries, and such run on the lower level of your operating system, a little closer than a virtual machine. Docker is going to be the main hero here. It was great actually working with Docker. At first, I was always like a little bit in the beginning, but lately, seeing how everything can be set up with Docker and basically fully functional, like all the normal configurations you would make if you decided to install this stuff locally, would probably be a headache from what I've seen in the past. Even with Docker, it was a bit of a headache, but it wasn't as bad as it could have been. So Docker is going to host its own ecosystem in a docked image when we just run it, and then it emulates it as its own computer, which we connect to through networking through our typical forwards, port forwards, and other factors which we'll get to. Then the first thing you probably want to do is find these two pieces. First, also search XNG, right? I did go over Perplexica. What is search XNG? Honestly, it's a great search. Um, it basically goes through all search engines and gives you a clean, non-obtrusive, not filled up with ads. Look at this. There's no ad in sight. It's literally just giving me the first link for something to go to. It's amazing. Look at that. It's going through Wikipedia, DuckDuckGo, Brave, Wikidata, Google. It's going through everything except start page had an issue. That's unfortunate. Maybe they're trying to block it. And it harvests all the search results, cleans out all the ads, and gives you actual 20, 2010 internet, maybe even 2005 internet, where just is clean search results. No ads, no nothing. So SearXNG is also a recommendation, especially if you're decoupling from Google. You want to basically get out of it. They work and they will install the same way, at least with Docker being the middleman. So here's my Docker. Here's my two running systems right now. And the issue is I didn't see this port's location automatically be configured when I pressed the play button from the images location, right? I had to manually do it. Maybe there's a better way, but for now, I know how to do it through the terminal command line. So instead of running this image from here, hold on to it. Don't worry, don't do that. It might not work perfectly. Maybe there's some configurations. Oh, you may also want to activate the enable host networking so that Docker can be easily configured with those applications. I haven't tested it without that yet, but I figured the configurations might actually still be fine, but I'm not too sure. Not gonna test that until next time. I got it working finally, so I'm just like, yeah, let me just freaking do it. So these are the current containers emulations that are running. There's Sear, there's Perplexica. Now, how did those happen to be created? Well, we need to find those again. We gotta pull them. I did the pull, right? Yeah. So you can pull to get both the Perplexica and the Sear. I'm gonna go ahead and put this potentially, maybe after. I'll put this in the text below, description below. But basically, you can also copy it from here. Docker pull. This is a general command to grab information online. It's crazy KNS 1337. That's very elite, very cool. And then slash Perplexica colon latest. That'll basically grab the image container that will be hosting, or at least be used as the hosting image, like a CD. Think of it like a virtual CD. And then we run and install that CD into its own drive space, emulated, right? Which is the container itself. So the image is like the CD, and then we install it into a container drive, virtual drive. Then again, the SearXNG, you want that as well. I would say you want that. I don't know how crazy the search world is going to be, but I really wanted to kind of decouple, get away from these search engines that are constantly harvesting information. Not only that, I'm using this search and I'm actually parsing all other searches. It's going through all other searches. Why would I need to go through each one of these to get information? Surprised Google's not in here. That's unfortunate. Sorry, not Google. Yahoo. Yahoo and Bing. What happened to them? I was thinking Yahoo, but I was looking at Google, so my brain said Google. So I'll be searching multiple websites without having to go into them individually, and it'll give me parse all the information. So that's why I recommend CRXNG so far. It looks great. I've been using it. It's amazing. And then, of course, Perplexity is the actual tool that does great stuff, man. This is amazing. All right. So, um, analyze the supply demand. This is me doing research trend of gold in the last 5 years since good old 2020. So it's gonna actually work just like you would have on a Grok, on a Chat GPT. It's gonna be local. It's gonna depend on your computer graphics card, um, and what model you're using. Currently, I'm using Mistral 7B. So it's gonna give a full out research process, right? This is absolutely insane. This is the kind of stuff you would normally get from those big ones, but it's gonna parse for images. It's gonna give those on the side here, videos and linking to the detail. It does have sources. Where's the sources? Right up here, so you can always go in and get some more details on this through the sources. And get kind of this is what I recommend. Don't trust AI so much. If you want to use AI, use it as a tool to guide and follow up on the information gathered. You don't want to basically rely on AI just to be like, oh yeah, it said it, therefore it's true, because it doesn't always make true statements. I would know this. I use it in all cases to do all kinds of stuff, research, including like linear, can't get it wrong. There's instructions all over the internet on programming. It'll make silly mistakes in programming, forgets a colon because it's in Python and not in JavaScript, especially if you ask it different types of code over time, switching between languages. You'll literally confuse it. It'll give you the wrong function that exists under one type of operating system that's not available under another. There's just so many things that can go wrong. So it has this aspect of confusion, just like a regular human being. And you got to consider this AI model has got a lot of packed in like, memory. It's got a lot of information to go through. So through the random neurons firing around, it's going to make a mistake in one of those fires. All right, so this is what we're going to install. So the first thing again is basically installing Docker when you first, and this is going to be on a Windows-based machine. All right, Windows 10 currently, never going to go to 11, can't make me. I will upgrade this all the way through, turn off every single ability, lock even the administrative down to a basic user, and I will continue using Windows for the rest of my life without anything changing my system. Windows 10, but potentially, I mean, I've got to kind of set up on my Linux system as well, so it's Linux compatible. The biggest thing is under Linux, actually, it's a bit more powerful because there's a lot more features. But under Windows, you install Docker. There's a quick Docker installation, literally one button, install. It'll install, it'll take some time. I shouldn't have to go through an install tutorial, right? Once it's installed, you want to run Docker. There's two ways you can approach this. Run Docker, it'll say something about a subsystem that needs to be updated. You can copy and paste the code and then update it. You can also basically use this from the get-go. WSL space dash dash update. This will basically install a Windows subsystem for Linux library on the computer. And then after that point, Docker will have to be restarted because it won't load until it manages to run that system. You can reload Docker and then you'll have access. You won't have any images, you won't have any containers. It'll ask you to sign in. I haven't signed in. I don't care to do so. If it restricts me on the nice, clean user interface, I'll just go down to the terminal level and continue from there. Now, the thing is, after you do those pulls, you're going to have these two images here. And again, you're going to be tempted to just start it off. But this is where we have to slow it down a notch. What you have to actually do, you need this command. At least I needed this command. I patched it through firewalls. I patched it through all kinds of different, just everything. Antiviruses, allow this to run, everything. And it got to a point where I was just like, there's something blocking the container. It's got to be a security issue. But it turns out the default button here, or maybe I didn't set it up right. Maybe there's a way to do it internally, but it just didn't pass the port to port, right? So when you do Docker run, you're setting yourself to run a image, start it. You will do dash P, and then the actual SearXNG port is 8080. So you'll pass that over to 8080 as a output, like an input output sort of gateway. You're connecting the host containers necessary IP for that application to be accessed through your local computer's 8080, like the Windows, not the Windows, the Windows computer, but what I'm saying here is this up here, right? Localhost colon 3000 and localhost colon 8080. Once you set that up with this, everything worked fine. That was it. That's all I had to do. It took me like 5 hours trying to figure out why it's not working, reinstalling, reconfiguring. You can see all these extra things I've played around with. Nothing worked out. Got a whole network stack of commands here that I was playing with, trying to figure out what was going on. This don't do. This ruined the. I mean, I don't know if it was. I'm gonna say misses of both WSL subsystem and Docker for reinstall necessity. But it could be useful futuristically if I wanted to make some sort of new network and reconfigure it properly because I didn't do it correctly there. Um, some cool commands. You can check out the networks internally. You can inspect the specific machine and see what the configurations are. But you can also access them through Docker if you go through one of the containers currently running, and you can inspect the current command set. Don't worry about this whole what was this startup result? Oh, the start page thing. So something happened with the start page thing. Must have been a type of access error. That's probably why I didn't go through on the other case. That's fine. You can inspect all the details, bind mounts, go into the terminal, files that are running in the background. So you can observe this, and if you know your Linux, you know where you are right now. You're in a Linux subsystem with all the information running for a contained environment for Sear XNG. That's the coolest thing. Then you can take a look at some stats and see how it's running. So that's it. That's what I wanted to do. Anyone can install it. These are the instructions to install, right? Install Docker. Once that's installed, install WSL. Or you should technically have it. All you got to do is run WSL update if you're in Windows 10. If not, you can probably find it online, the Windows subsystem for Linux. After you install this, Docker will work perfectly fine. You don't have to sign in, you don't have to make an account. You go straight to images, then you run Docker pull for Perplexica, and Docker pull for SearXNG. After you pull those, you're going to run, and then you run them on those particular ports. That's it. The only thing that again may or may not affect the network connection is to have this running on a host, enable host networking. That might be a case where some cases that you're you will learn you'll be using 192 localhost as the main host, but because it does have its own IP address, you can also access it through its own IP address, not just through the localhost. It just makes it a bit more convenient, so you can just do localhost as shown here. So that's it. I thought that was insane. That was like a 4 or 5 hour process. I never used Docker before. Now I'm a pro or media intermediate. I do like it. It's really cool. I would probably make my own containers too, considering the situation, how easy it is to pre-configure a whole environment and then just let it run, and then you can just connect to it remotely. That's a pretty cool concept now that I really take a look at it. But that's really the case. A couple of things to know. You can access your terminal here as well. This terminal underneath for the Docker gives you access to the internal Docker terminal. You can also basically mess around with it on a regular terminal as well by using those commands, right? So there it is. That's all the details. If you have Ollama, this is a great chef's kiss edition. Now I have all my research on my local. I have my search on my local. I can isolate myself from the chaos of the internet. I've been really not liking how everything's going out there. Stay safe, install precautions, don't talk to AI like it's a human because it's gathering information about everything you tell it. Um, and guys, like, let's not fall into this weird AI Black Mirror Player One future timeline. I'm I'm really not looking forward to this. It's just suck. It's gonna suck. Anyway, that's it from me. I just wanted to share a little bit of what I was doing today. And I got it set up, and I hope that it helps you out too if you had any issues at all in the past. Hopefully, this is enough to kind of give you a boost into your own AI system. And follow me if you like to program with Python, play games, do web servers, design, design, mathematics. You need a refresher in mathematics. I'll be doing the factor frenzy pretty soon live, where I'm just gonna like factor a whole bunch. I'm gathering all the different equations and I want to make them like difficult and like a variety, easy to intermediate to really difficult. So I'm gonna be playing around with those. Um, yeah, if you like to learn, if you basically want to have content that's not just rotting your brain, maybe time to reverse that rot, right? Follow and subscribe, guys. Help me out. Help me out. I help you out. You join me, I teach you for free. You know what I mean? Just join, ask questions. Like that's it. Just ask your questions. I'm literally here to answer any question. This is where you like and subscribe and then wait for me to go live again and then gather all of your homework questions and then just start splitting up my on live stream, man. Um, yeah, that's it. Anyway, that's all I'm gonna say, man. Good game. Well played. Peace.